What's up, my quarantined little quarry bears? This is Rob from the Gay Guy Plays, and today was supposed to be another installment of the Weekly Nightwave, the series where we take a look at this week's acts and find the most efficient or most entertaining way to take them on. But as you can see, it's nowhere to be seen. It's been like 20-25 minutes now. I've logged in, I've logged out, I've tried refreshing my session, and I have no idea where it is. It's just gone. Listen, I'm scared that the corona might have gotten Nora. Listen, girl, give me a call and let me know that you're okay. Because on the previous dev stream, I don't believe that DE said anything about cutting it off this week. Otherwise, I would have gotten my grind up from 38 to 40 because y'all know how I feel about those weird numbers. Maybe it's gonna come back on Monday when DE is back in office, but at this point in time, I have no freaking clue. Regardless, those were probably the most boring parts of these videos anyway, so we're gonna jump into the good stuff. Today we're gonna be covering Split Flights, the newest mod from Barrow Katir. If you missed him, he's gone now, but he was here earlier, so if you want to see my take on it, stay tuned. In addition to that, I am gonna give you guys a little bit of a heads up on the Nova Deluxe skin, and you'll get to see a little bit of Tatiana, our Warframe of the week, in action, but no builds, no fashion quite yet, because I got some plans for her. Now, let's go ahead and jump into Nova Prime before we do any testing. Not Nova Prime, but the Nova Deluxe version 2, because we got some problems here. Much like Scarlet Spear, it was a little bit rough. Now, as you can see right here, there is something going on with this helmet, because on the primary we have a single color, and regardless of what color we go into, the head is always darker than the rest of the body. And you know, maybe it's just mismatching makeup, but I think that it might actually be a little bit of a texture issue. If you guys look very, very closely, the kind of like burgundy maroony bits here are actually a bit more plasticky and have a little bit more shine, which a part of me thinks that they might have accidentally flipped the textures on the helmet, because it does look a little bit shinier there, and I don't know if the mapping was just a little bit off. Regardless, I don't feel comfortable giving you guys a look for it and putting my stamp of approval because it looks a little bit underbaked and I'd like it, you know, finished up before I start any work on it. Regardless, let's go ahead and jump into the new, improved, beautiful ballroom simulacrum for a look at Split Flights. Alrighty, so before we jump in, let's have a quick group bitch fest, because with the state of the world today, I kind of feel like we're more unified than ever in our tragedies and suffering. And let me tell you, Scarlet Spear was testing my patience all kinds today. It was all documented on stream, so listen, I cannot tell a lie. However, I do recall back in the dev stream where Rebecca was saying, you know, when it's working, it works really well. And I do have to say, when all cylinders are firing, it's a pretty smooth experience. However, that doesn't happen a good chunk of the time. Legitimately, me and my Railjack crew had tried to get into a mission 4 different times before we finally got an objective. And here's the issue. When we did get an objective, some of them had a disconnection. And that's not DE's fault in any way, shape, or form. Like, bad connections, it happens. But when I tried to re-invite them, the flotilla was full and could not receive any more people inside of it. It was just like terrible. And Mogamu was there and he was like, yo, I'm playing Warframe again for y'all for this? Nah, this is Trashiana. And I'm like, well, fuck. And it happened so many times and it was extremely frustrating. So don't think, because I don't necessarily go on crazy bitch fest rampages here on the channel, that I'm not feeling your pain too. I'm in this with you. Literally, I have both the weapons. I, as you will see, have the ballroom simulacrum thing. I got all the weird chest glyph stuffs. I didn't pick up any of the stance forma yet or any of the arcanes. I'm waiting until the good shit comes out. But know that I am suffering here with you as well. Regardless, let's go ahead and take a look at the thing that we were here for. This actually came out with Barrow Katir. He's gone now, so if you missed it, I'm sorry. You can either pick it up in trade chat, which I'm sure is going to be extremely traumatic. But we're going to be taking a look at Split Flights. So as you can see, this provides no benefits at its base. All right. However, on hit, so you have to hit somebody already, you get 100% multi-shots. And that stacks up to 4 times. Doesn't work on crossbows. However, I will say that you do get 180% negative accuracy for 2 seconds. So this whole effect only sticks around for 2 seconds. And to be completely honest with you, I don't hate it on some of the standard bows. I really love it on the Cernos Prime, which we'll be taking a look at. And then of course there's a Mutalist Cernos, which a lot of people love. However, I don't necessarily jive with. Regardless, I wanted to go ahead and show this off on a basic weapon first, or like a basic standard bow first. Also keep in mind, I did dumb this down. I do have Rocta or Cernos, what do you call this? Riven for you guys, but we'll take a look at that in a second. I wanted to show this at its base, and as you can see, here's the ballroom. It's really, really pretty, and there are no holes in the floor, thank God. But what we're gonna do real quick is I'm just gonna fire it, and you can see the little icon in the corner. It does have one trigger of it. So what we can do is we can go ahead and hit multiple triggers real quick. So now we're at 4, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fire it so you can see how the cluster is, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, shoot off a couple more, and then you can see kind of like the negative accuracy. It's very much like a burst. It almost feels a little Mara Detron-like, if you guys know exactly how that feels. But you'll actually get more multi-shot off of this than from split chamber, but you do have to build it up. I think it's an interesting take on a side grade mod. I would say that this could be an upgrade depending on how you like to play it. Of course, if you are going to be much farther away, the spread is going to be a lot more visible. As you can see, y'all saw that one that like flew off to the left. Me personally, I feel like the duration on it is a little bit low. If we could have gotten 3 or 4 seconds, I would have been much happier with it. But, this is what it is. Or, hey, listen, send some feedback to DE in the forums and say, 4 seconds would be nice. And then maybe they'll give us 3 seconds. You know how they like to lowball us. But the way that I like to use it is I like to pop off 1 at first, and then I'll start going in and charging. Also, you probably noticed that with my build on the Rocta Cernos, instead of putting in an additional damage, additional damage mod, I actually put in a speed trigger mod, mainly because of the fact that I wanted to kind of take advantage of its fast charge times. So again, you can see how quick it is to draw, and it makes really good use of it. Now, one of the things that I do like about this mod is it kind of addresses the fact that bows are made to be sort of single target-ish. As many of you guys know, there is a little bit of a physics impact component to it where it'll keep going down a straight line and it can hit some additional targets. But for the most part, it is kind of single target-ish. So this gives it a little bit more of a spread shot, which you'll be able to hit more targets with if you're gonna be aiming at a cluster of enemies, and makes it a little bit more usable in, standard mob missions where there's just a lot of enemies clustering up. So that's definitely something to think about when you're not necessarily being a sharpshooter bow user. Wow, I was trying to say archer, but that rhymed, so we're gonna go ahead and go with that. Actually, I miss Archer. For those of you guys who used to watch Archer, I'm sad and I wish that they would come back soon. So this is actually going to be my Dread, and I am running with one of my Rivens for it. So you can kind of see how it is. I know that I've checked some comments in the wiki and some people are like, not that great with the Dread. It kind of depends on what you're building. The Dread for me is a little bit more status based because it's got so much crit. You can look at, do you see that flurry? Because you can get so many slash procs with this thing. It's kind of really sexy. But again, you kind of don't want to be super duper far away from your enemy when you do use it. And it's going to be different for each bow. You know what I mean? I like using it with the Dread because we do have Hunter's Munitions and it is slash based, and there's a decent amount of status on it. So now it's kind of you could just get this flurry of slash procs, and it's just really, really, really sexy. Again, it's not going to work with every single bow out there, but in specific case scenarios, it can be quite nice. Now, let's go ahead and move into the place where it gets really sexy, okay? We're going to bust out the Cernos Prime. Now, for those of you guys who've used the Cernos Prime a lot, it is basically like the shotgun of bows. And that's basically how we're going to be using it here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the build, because I'm not sure if I took the Riven off or not. So this is the Riven, and in this case, what I would sub in is I would probably sub in a little bit of, what is it called? The fire mod. I would toss in the fire elemental status mod to kind of really push the status out there, because the status is already pretty high on it, and I'm like, kind of juicy. But this is what we're going to be running with for now. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this baby works, because you innately fire 3 projectiles with this. Like, I'm going to charge it up, and you're going to get your 3 projectiles, and you've already got, as you can see up top, I'm going to fire it off again. You can see it's got 3 times up on there. So initially, you can already get 3 charges of this, right? So you can like jump up real quick to doing your max damage, and you can see all of those numbers flying. So for me personally, this is going to be one of those mods on the Rock the Cernos where I'm like, or not the Rock the Cernos, the Cernos Prime is like, yo, this is definitely going to be popping. Use this. You know what I mean? And you can charge up pretty quickly after that. The only thing that I will say is, again, I wish, wow. Now, there's a lot of people out there who have talked about, maybe getting their hands on another multi-shot mod. You can feel free to do that as well. Listen, whatever works for you and whatever makes you feel good about your build, go ahead and do that. This is what I think I'm gonna run with. I might see if I can find a way to kind of like slot in the fire status, because I do like that in there too, to kind of like lessen a little bit of the armor. But if you're just taking this through the star chart, like, this is more than feasible. In fact, let's go ahead and let's sub that in real quick so that you guys can see how it performs without a ribbon, but with the, what is it called? With the thermite rounds on there. So see, now we're up to 84% on status projectile. It's not going to be as great with Hunter's Munitions because we are cutting down on how many, on how much, you know, proc chance we get with that. But, you know, listen, not everybody's going to have a rivet. Like, just look at it. Just look at how sexy that is. I mean, not as good without the ribbon, but I mean, that's kind of like how life works, right? So let's move on to the last variation of this, which of course is the Rock the Cernos, not the Rock the Cernos, Mutalist Cernos. There's so many Cernoses. This is just like when DE has a bunch of missions that all start with the letter D, and I can't remember what the hell any of it is. Don't blame me. It's DE's fault. Now, I've always said this. I'm very headstrong when I know something really well. I don't know the Mutalist Cernos like some of y'all know the Mutalist Cernos, so this is just what I cobbled together. Like, you might disagree with this build, and it's totally fine. I know that at the end of this video, I'm not going to be using the Mutalist Cernos. Unless y'all really, like, say, oh, it's juicy with this, I might give it a shot, but I'm probably not going to be using it in a regular, you know, regular basis. And I'm mainly saying that because I know that there are some Mutalist Cernos lovers out there, and I'm like, I'm an expert in what I'm an expert in, like Miss Tankiana over here, but Mutalist Cernos is not something that I'm the most familiar with, but I know that it works quite well with this weapon because I did play around with it, and I was like, ooh! I was like, interesting! Like, look at that. Look at that go. So, and by the way, I believe they said that the cloud, yeah, hold on, let's see. I believe that they said that the cloud, yep, the cloud triggers it as well. So it doesn't have to be a direct hit, but it can be like a cloud hit, and it'll actually trigger it. So for those of you guys who are using Mutalist Cernos, there's a new way for you to play around with it. And the same is like said true for all of these. For me at least, I like saying that the first hit that I do with it, I like to kind of keep it like just a quick draw. You know what I mean? Just like a quick flourish. And then I start charging them up. Just because that way I get that quick multi-shot boost. So that's what I think about these split flights. I think that it's a really, really interesting addition. I know that some people out there are super duper bummed that this can't be used with crossbows, because there are some crossbows that would utilize this amazingly. Like the Z Huge Prime with this, oh, it would have been so good. I know some people are also going to be talking about Thunderbolt. I fucking hate that mod, and I think it's a complete waste. Unless they put it on an Exilus. Did they put it on an Exilus? If they put it on an Exilus, like, maybe I'd consider using Thunderbolt, but it's not on there, so I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't give a shit about it. But that is my take on Split Flight. Let me know how you guys feel down in the comments below about it. If any of you guys are avid Mutalist Cernos lovers, did I absolutely butcher that build? Let me know in the comments below. I know some of you guys are curious about Tatiana. Miss Tatiana, no more Trashiana. We will be covering her in future videos. As you guys know, Miss Tatiana Prime is coming out on the 31st. That video is going to be late, unfortunately, because they need me late at work on that night. So you guys might have to wait until the morning on that. I will work on it the second that I get home. So either wait for a late upload and be aware that that's a thing, or, you know, wake up the next morning and you'll have a video there for you to take a look at. Regardless, that about does it for me for now. I really hope that you guys are staying healthy, having as much fun as you can at home. Listen, I enjoy it here. I'm just putting it out there. Check back on the YouTubes as well as on my Twitter to find out when I'm streaming. That way you can kind of join in live. Regardless, that about does it for me for now. And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and wash your damn hands. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.